Hi guys,
Hey.
how are you?
Hey.
Great. Very happy to be here. You guys are great. Okay, do you want me to talk or what's the plan?
Could you briefly introduce yourself, and then we'll start with the first question from the kids.
Okay, so my name is Anna and I'm in California, in Orange County, and I am a cell biologist and I'm very happy to talk to you about genetics and GMOs and all your questions. So go ahead.
My name is Aaron Johnson. What causes autism and who carries the gene?
Okay, so as far as I know, these are kind of new results, and there is not one gene. There are like new genes, 9 genes that are related to autism, and I guess anybody can carry it. So I don't think anybody knows really if somebody has more risk to carry it. So it's kind of chance,
So it doesn't matter if it's male or female?
I cannot hear you.
So it doesn't matter if it's male or female? I'm sorry, I have a tendency to mumble.
So far as I know, it doesn't have to be male or female.
Okay. What causes ADHD then?
ADHD? I think it's a combination. Most things in life are a combination of what is in the genes and what is in the environment. I don't think the gene will make you have ADHD. I think it just gives you risk to do that. Is that okay?
My name is Christian, and I have a question. Is there genetic evidence for one male and one female ancestor for humanity?
You know, that is a great question. And I would say yes or no. No, in the sense that we cannot really say there was one male and one female. However, if you look back in the family, like you have your grandma and your great grandma and your great 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 grandma. So if you go back, you can go back to one female, many generations ago. Okay? So I think you can say there was one male and one female, but it was not the only ones. I don't know if this makes sense. Like, let's say your great 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 grandma, they had a sister who didn't have kids. So in that sense, your great 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 grandma was the beginning, but not the only one. Does it make kind of sense? This is what scientists are saying, that you can say, okay, we can go back in history and define an original male and original female, but they were not completely on your looking at the family tree. That was a really hard question to answer.
Okay. My name's Kiara. My question is, what?
I don't see you.
She wants to see you. She's coming.
This one?
I'm not seeing you.
My name is Kiara. My question is, do I need to speak loud for you? My name is Kiara. My question is, what about the similarities between apes and human DNA? Does this support evolution?
I heard evolution. I didn't hear what was before. Sorry. That is breaking up.
What about the similarities between apes and human DNA? That was before. Does this support evolution?
And is it some of the questions that were on the list? Oh, I see. I found your question. Yes, there is. I think It's like 95, it's over 90% of similarity between ape and human DNA. We are very similar, but of course the difference has to do with how brains have evolved. It doesn't mean that apes became humans. Remember, what happens is that there was a primitive ape, and then it branched, and some of them became modern apes, and others became humans. Okay, so apes did not become humans, we just evolved, branched, and evolved differently. But yes, we are very similar, especially to chimpanzees. I think it's like 98 or something percent similar DNA.
Okay.
Does it answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else have a question about whether humans came from apes and why they're different, why they're alike?
Okay, my name is Joseph, and I wanted to
Joseph,
know what is selective breeding.
selective breeding?
Yes, ma'am.
This is exactly what people have been doing forever, you know, when you have like dogs or cats or cows or even plants, you know, you breed for something you want. Let's say you want a hairy dog, then you just breed hairy puppies. Then eventually the gene will have more of the hairy part, or when you want to have fat cows or, I don't know, big apples or something like that. So humans have been doing this forever without knowing nothing about genetics. They just look for what they want to have, and then they just breed those animals or plants who have that characteristic.
Okay.
It's also called artificial selection because it's a little bit like natural selection, but it's done artificially. It's kind of you're selecting for a trait that you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Emery, and I was wondering what are the advantages and disadvantages of selective breeding?
It's a very good question. I'd say the only disadvantage, it's more about the moral point of view. And I don't know if you know that sometimes in example, chickens, everybody likes to, big chicken breast. But sometimes those chickens are bred in such a way that breasts are so big that the chickens fall on their faces. It's sad for the chickens. It's cruel. So I would say the disadvantage is when it's so artificial that it's actually affecting the animals in their health, in their quality of life. That's my opinion, personally.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, I'm Miles, and I want
Hi.
to know what is genetic engineering?
Say it again.
What is genetic engineering?
Oh, genetic engineering is when you take when you are manipulating DNA. So let me give you an example. Anybody here has family with diabetes? Okay, so they may be taking insulin, right? Insulin is the hormone that controls blood sugar. Now, before genetic engineering, insulin had to be made from pancreas of cows. That was a lot of work and, killing a lot of cows to get the insulin. Insulin is now made by bacteria. You take the gene for insulin, put it in bacteria, and it's easy to make. So that is it's a very useful thing about genetic engineering. You simply manipulate DNA. That is genetic engineering. So you put DNA from some species into other species. More or less? Thank you. By the way, thanks you for coming slower because I can hear you much better. Hi.
My name is Nuvindu, and my question is, what are the pros and cons of genetic engineering?
It's like everything, you know, if you have a hammer, you can build houses, but you can also hit somebody. So with genetic engineering, you can cure diseases, make vaccines, do a lot of good things. However, in the hands of bad guys, you know, make them viruses, biological weapons. So I would say it depends who is using it and with what purpose.
Hi,
Hello.
my name is Micah, and I was wondering, is a genetically engineered animal a clone?
Is it genetic what?
Is a genetically engineered animal a clone?
I would say technically yes, because in order to make a genetically engineered animal, you have to start with the egg. And so that is a clone because it's from one egg. Yes. I would say yes.
Hello,
Hi there.
my name is Shenador, and I just want to know, what does GMO mean?
GMO is genetically modified organism. And it's mainly about plants. Like, you know, you have, you can make a plant that is resistant to a pesticide, you know, like a weed killer. So the weeds die, but not the plant because it has resistance to the weed killer. Or a plant that is resistant to cold. So there are animals which are genetically modified also, but it's mainly plants that we have seen. So genetically modified organism, GM.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, I was wondering what animals are being genetically engineered and why are they being genetically engineered?
You know, there are a few. I am aware of salmon that has, geez, I don't remember what it has, some kind of gene that I don't know if it fattens them or makes them grow faster. So I know that. Other animals, good question. I will have to check that. You know, I have seen pictures of cows that are very big because they grow muscle, but I don't know if these are legal. I don't know if these are acceptable. But the only one that comes to my mind is salmon, genetically modified salmon. I know there are more, but blank. Sorry. Thank you.
What number is it? Number 10. Oh, no, 10. 11.
I'm Josh.
Hi.
Are food from genetic plants regulated?
Genetic what related?
Plants. Are foods from genetic plants regulated?
No, I heard the regulated part. I didn't hear what it.
Come up a little closer. It's a little slow.
Are foods from genetic plants regulated?
It depends on the country. So there are some countries and some states that have more regulation than others. So yeah, I would say there is, but how much it depends.
Hey, my name's John.
Swag unit, nice.
My question is, why should or shouldn't scientists pursue genetic engineering?
Okay, say it again. Sciences about genetic engineering.
Why should or shouldn't scientists pursue genetic engineering?
Well, they do. They do already. Yes, they should. But, kind of going back to the same thing of pros and cons, there should be regulations so people don't use it, with bad purposes. Anybody watch that movie Contagion?
Contagion.
Yeah.
Contagion? That big outbreak that people were.
Yeah.
So basically, if people use genetic engineering with bad purposes, you can do harm. But on the other hand, there are so many advantages and use for it. So yes, they should pursue it, but it should be regulated so bad guys don't do it.
All right.
Can I say something about this whole genetic engineering thing? I'm really happy that you guys are interested in asking questions because that is what we need. People asking questions. Don't trust politicians and people telling you things. Ask questions and keep asking questions because as long as the public is informed, things are well. We need to know what we are doing, and you need to know what you are looking for in the future. Yes.
My name is Brianna, and how does genetic modification differ from selective breeding?
How does genetic modification differ from selective breeding?
Yes.
Okay, it's basically that's the same thing, but one is shorter and the other is longer. So let's say selective breed, you want to have an apple that is big and red. So then you have to breed apples and apple trees and other apple trees until you get big and red apples. In genetic engineering, you look for the gene that makes apples be big and red and then put it in the cells and then you get the big red apple. So it's basically the same result, but one is faster than the other.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, I have a question. What is the big issue with GMOs? That's a big controversy, things that's going on, and some people want it, some people don't. What is the big issue right now?
That is one of my pet peeves about GMOs. Basically, this is what's going on. GMOs, as we were saying, can be very good, right? On the other hand, there are some big companies like Monsanto who have a monopoly of GMOs. So if you're a farmer and you want to plant soybean, you have to buy the seeds from Monsanto every time. And it's a lot of money. So also there are some reports that GMOs may have some effects and people don't really know if GMOs can be harmful or not. They cannot be. And then so people are asking for, okay, we should have GMOs labeled, we should know. And there is all this discussion, and there are politicians involved, and these big companies, and lots of money. And honestly, as a scientist, I think GMOs are basically good and useful, but I also believe the right of the public to know. So I see both sides, and I think that knowledge and knowing what it is about is the right thing. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, ma'am. It sure did. Anyone else have any random questions? Is there such thing? One of the questions that was asked by one of my students in an earlier class, is there such thing as a lazy gene?
I don't think so. I don't think there is a lazy gene. I think it's just you know how teenagers have different brains and their brains kind of develop differently, so I think it's just a timing issue.
So there's no such thing as lazy, Jim. We can't blame it on that, right?
I don't think so.
Well, we have another question.
Okay.
When you're doing selective breeding and you're like trying to find a cure, not selective breeding, genetic engineering, and you're trying to find a cure for a disease, can you possibly cause other diseases trying to find a cure for that one when you're doing genetic engineering?
You know, I heard that you're talking about selective breeding and genetic engineering diseases, but I didn't hear the last part.
She's coming.
Oh, now I see you.
Okay. When you're doing genetic engineering and you're trying to find a cure for a disease or something, can you possibly cause other diseases trying to find a cure for that one when you're doing it?
Yes, you can. And that's why one has to be so careful when playing with the genes. Absolutely. Yeah, because, you know, the DNA is a big molecule and all your genes are there. So if you're maybe putting something in the middle, maybe you can be affecting something else. So that's why when it's about diseases, you have to be very, very careful. Yes, one has to be very careful with DNA.
Thank you.
Good question, thank you. Ready for lunch, you guys? Oh, here's another question.
Is it possible for like a person to inherit somebody else's personality through genes?
You know, personality or something?
Like one parent could be both arrogant, self-consciousness, and like even though they may have never met that parent, they still were like that.
You know, this is so amazing. It doesn't seem to be that there are genes determine your personality, but seems like what happens in very early childhood and even in the womb may affect personality. So, there is no gene for personality, but there may be effects on genes, something that happens in the environment that can affect the personality. So it's not clear cut, but there seems to be something. Seems to be, for example, that kids that grow up in a very harsh environment, very little kids, they may have personality issues later on because of effects of the genes. So I'm sorry, I cannot give you a yes/no answer. There seems to be something, but it's not clear cut. It's not like you got this gene, your personality is going to be arrogant. It's not like that. But there may be some genetic effect on it.
Okay.
There are no simple answers for a lot of the questions you guys have. Great questions.
Anyone else have a question? Anything else? We have one more.
One more.
Oh, we have two more.
Sure.
Can bacteria affect a human's genes?
Can bacteria affect a human's genes? Viruses, we know, because viruses infect cells. I don't see bacteria doing that directly. It may be something like that, but nothing comes to my mind here. I would say yes, viruses, bacteria.
Okay.
Thank you. Swag.
Okay, what does a geneticist really do?
What does a geneticist really do? Well, you sit in the lab and Skype with interested kids. You usually grow bacteria bacterial viruses because they are very, useful tools. And you have a lot of little, wait a moment. Okay, so for example, you have petri dishes here. These are bacteria growing on them, and then you put them in tubes and do things to them. Here are another. Oops, here. So you grow bacteria, you do experiments, you write your notebook, you write at the computer, you publish articles, and that kind of stuff. You do a lot of lab work, and it's really cool. That's the best part of work, to do lab work.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, they said they don't have any more questions. We want to thank you for allowing us this time.
Oh, thanks, guys. And if you come up with more questions, just let me know by, email or Twitter or whatever. I'm very happy to answer.
Thank you.
Keep asking questions. That's the most important thing. Bye.
Bye, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.